With that introduction, now you understand why my eyes don't come open. One is because I've been belted across the eyebrows that many times, and through my football career, and certainly having a tough life working for many years underground. But thank you for the invitation to be here today. It's certainly always a pleasure when we have people going out and trying to increase the inclusion of certain people within our society. But first, can I acknowledge Rob Thompson, CEO of WA Sports Federation. You'll see him there somewhere. Yeah, there is over there. Christina Matthews is over there, a very hard-working CEO from the WACA. And a special person, the WA Paralympian, Sean Pollard. But there's a special bit about Sean. He got engaged the other day, and I think it was well done. WA Paralympian, I've just done that to get another run. But Jane Cousins with National Disability Services, and Kelly as well. Paul Flay, CEO of Inclusion Solutions. I must apologise in advance that I do have to leave a little early. We are having, it's the day before budget, and there'll be many questions to be asked on the steps as well as inside at Parliament today. But again, thanks for being here, and I can also acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands which we stand on today and pay my respects to the elders past and present. So it's great to see a turnout such as this with the community organisations and state sporting associations, not-for-profit groups, individuals and local government here today. I think that says a lot in itself. Each of my ministerial portfolios, sports, seniors, volunteering, all have social inclusion embedded in their makeup. So this is an area of particular interest to me, enough that I dragged the staff along, screaming, kicking, and some saying we might get a good coffee. But it's great to that the staff have that interest as well. Something we talk about inclusion, and if the staff aren't part of it, what's the point? The minister then just becomes a figurehead, and I don't intend to be that. We want to work very closely with all within the community. So we should be doing all what we can to create stronger communities, whether through sport, social groups, volunteering or other participation activities. I've been fortunate to have spent most of my life in a regional town where a strong sense of community is embedded in residents from a young age. Looking out for others is an important part of life in the country, and I always say one thing about it in a country town: if you fall down, people will pick you up. If you're in a city town, they'll walk around you. So I don't know whether it's true, but it seems to be like that when you're in a small community. In my opinion, there are other lessons to be learnt from the value regional WA places on inclusion in its communities. My experience of being closely involved with sport all my life is that nothing brings a community together as much as local sport and recreation. Local sport offers roles for players and volunteers from all age ranges and has a visible presence in the community and unites people behind a common goal. And I will just change that. Some of the smaller, going out further than smaller than my community, if it wasn't for a footy team or sometimes a cricket team in the summer period, the whole social structure would break down. It does see in many of those smaller country areas, from people, say in the cricket area, 60 plus, playing with kids that are 17, 18 and even younger than that. So, we do have an inclusion role within those country areas, something that does get a little lost in the city. And I don't mean that in disrespectful ways, but it's easy to become lost in a bigger world. For example, when looking at how to engage new Australians in our communities, I always point to the value of their children joining local sports clubs. And again, I'm going to get in trouble because I'm chopping this speech up, but I was out at a soccer club the other day. 12 different nationalities of kids in one team. That is just sensational. I went there and all sizes, shapes, colours, the whole lot were there, but they're all friends. And I think that's where we have a big role to play, not only in government, but also in our society. For example, when looking at how to engage new Australians in our communities, I always point to the value of their children joining local sporting clubs. In my experience, the kids will join and make friends quickly, as kids do. From there, the adults and older generations will become involved as well, not only in roles at the club, but also in the community activities that follow. And again, another story is about I went to Melbourne some years back on a committee meeting in Parliament, and we went out to a group, and there was Muslim girls that just started playing netball for the first time because we changed, not we, they changed the rules about the uniforms they could use. And one of the young girls was so proud that her mother was working on the booth. The first time she'd really become out of social isolation, into a community, and was working on the booth. Her greatest wish was she could get her dad there, and I hope she succeeded in that. So very, very much that social connection. Making these connections through sport is so valuable, and I'm proud to say, in my view, in West Australia we do it better than most states. I'm particularly pleased that today's forum has brought together so many representatives pushing to do even better in this area, all sharing concern for the challenges people face and the opportunities that can be created. Overcoming social barriers and creating inclusive environments is an important part of making West Australia a better place for everyone who lives here. The role played by not-for-profit organisations such as Inclusion WA, who over a long period have worked hard to identify, challenge, advocate and include all, cannot be underestimated. Your commitment to those deemed at risk is playing a valuable role and is one greatly appreciated by the community. It's appropriate that today's forum is themed around sport and recreation, and we are fortunate to have some of the great speakers and examples of best practice social inclusion. I'm sure you'll take a great deal away from today. I look forward to hearing what our speakers have to say, as long as I can stay long enough, and how all our experiences in this area interact. And that's something, again, the word interact, it'll come up time and time again, but I did notice up there it was very, very important that sometimes we think we're doing the right thing, but we haven't got the actual physical interaction. No, they've got that there, they've got this made, that's all there, and Sport and Rec's doing that, the government's doing that, but have we got the melting pot right? And I think that's really what we're about, is making sure that everyone ends up, as I put it, with a pointy end. It's pointless one going this way, that way, and I'm seeing that too much in government in my new role. So, we're working very hard in that area to make sure that we can help, coordinate, and work with groups such as here. So, it is special to have people out there leading the way, but it's also special when others come along, take some notice, maybe put their own spin on it, but work very hard to make sure we have social inclusion. So thank you very much for today.